Hey guys, welcome back to another NRL Fantasy Fanatics buy hold. So we're here with just me again today, as we've got other guys doing other jobs for our thing. Yeah, just quick announcements. So NRL Fantasy Fanatics are looking into making merch. You got your stubby holders. We're looking to make pens, bucket hats, uh, caps. Just look and try to support us as much as you can. Oh yeah, join the Bundy mixer. There'll be a cash prize for the winner there, and join the Discord along with drop in the comments below how many trades you have left. But yeah, let's get into it. So Nathan Cleary went absolutely ballistic on the weekend. Had 874k with a break even of 36. I think it's an absolute no-brainer for the fantasy god. You see, the next two games he could put a massive score on them here. The 112 and 76 came pretty easy for him, putting on a lot of goals and a couple of tries. Just ran the ball very well, tackled very well. And yeah, I do think for me that Nathan kick meters won't be as high, but I don't think it matters as much for Nathan. Like you see here, 291 kick meters for 75. He's just such an influential player for the Penrith Panthers, and it is such a good team. So yeah, I'd be saying Nathan is close to a must-have this week. And if you don't have him already, look to get him. But I'd trade Lachlan Galvin to him, but I wouldn't trade any of the big guns like a Haas or a Yo. I would find another way to get him, just because I think he's a must-have. And if you get him, you stuck to seeing him definitely. Someone that you could anti-pod Nathan Cleary with, but I wouldn't advise doing it is Jamal Fogarty, with an average of 57.7 this season, but when playing over 50 minutes, he has an average of 62.4. Uh, for me, Cleary just has more ceiling than Fogarty, considering the fact that Cleary can get the hundreds and the 80s more consistently. While Fogarty's more around that 60 to 55 and relies a lot more on the defensive stats along with the kick meters. But at 735k, it's almost 140k less. So it's not a terrible option to antipod him with Nathan Cleary, but with a tough draw coming up with five of the next six being top eight sides and all of them being in contention for top eight. I don't think Jamal will get as many attacking stats like try assist and goals as we think, but could see maybe his kick meters up a bit more. But for me, yeah, I do think it's definitely a no-brainer. You got to find a way to get in Cleary, even if it costs you two trades this week. Callum Ponga, 66 break even at 688k. I think that Ponga is close to a must-have here. Not a must-have, but close to it. You see, last year he absolutely killed it at fullback with an average of 62.8. We all know what Ponga can do. This year, a little bit down with a couple of injuries in there. That 72, 67, 69 kind of came back a little bit more there. But yeah, for me, Ponga's definitely a buy. 52 came for try saver and not many goals. With what is a somewhat or a draw, I'd probably look to avoid him this week and then buy him next week. And they got the Tigers, Cronulla, Rabbitohs, Gold Coast, and Dolphins for the next five, who can all leak a lot of points out there. You to see last year, the one game he scored very low in was the one, sorry, at was the one against the Panthers where they didn't get smoked. It was 20-12, but yeah, Ponga just went low. And for me, I think that the reason I go Ponga over probably the most is that he just got more of that like massive scores in him. You know what I mean? Like he's gone big a couple of times, but it's a lot more inconsistent. So yeah, for me, I definitely look to buy Ponga, but I look to buy Ponga after the Panthers round. I know a lot of us don't have a lot of trades left, so we just got to keep that in mind. For me, Isaiah Yeo is a very good buy. Uh, is when playing over 60 minutes this season, he's absolutely killed it, Isaiah, with an average of 62.9. When playing 80 minutes, Isaiah Yeo is a workhorse. You see a lot of scores over 70 there. I just think he just set him for getting the mid. If you get him and Payne Haas as a combination, it's very good. Just tackles his ass off with a lot of run meters out there. The only thing for me is if you had to choose between Haas or Yo, I'd go for a Payne Haas, just considering the fact that Payne has more of those big scores in him, like the 60, like the 80s and 90s. Well, he has a lot more of these 50s to 60s to 70s, but he is a very good player. So yeah, but I do think that even though he's cheaper, I yeah, I'd bring a Haas in over him. But I mean, if you're looking for pure points, I'd go Yo just because Haas has that one more buy left. There's a lot of positives and negatives. I think a couple of negatives for Yo would be like the Panthers doing well, them not having to play around 27, like the Broncos probably having to if they want to make the 8. But yeah, definitely has. Um, Another guy you could look to antipod Yo or Haas with is Anthony Blake. Just keep in mind he only got 5 of the next 6 games available because of that buy out there. But 32 break even at 727k. He's kind of come back with the last couple of weeks with a 65, a 75, and a 67. Look back to some of his scoring best. You see what he can do this season when scoring tries. His 0.4 try scoring rate. But you see, he pretty much goes from that 39 to like 45 range to about 65, 70 when he scores those tries. So if you think that he can grab a couple of meat pies against the Parramatta Eels, the Dolphins, Manly, Doggies, or Cronulla, I do think that he is a very, very interesting option and one that I wish I could get, but I probably won't be fitting in. I don't think that you can antipod a Yo or a Haas with AFB this week. Someone we spoke about last week as our pod of the round was Zach Hosking. 65 break even now. I probably wouldn't be looking to buy him. Now, I would probably be looking to buy him at 550k if he can get that spot back. But for us, it was just the minutes over 50 with a 53 average. And we all know what Zach can do. Massive scores there. A couple of low ones, 31 and 63 minutes. But for us, Zach is just a workhorse. And yeah, we think that if Zach could get those 50 minutes or 55 minutes, he looks like a much better player. We do think that he would very easily be able to make you a bit of money and score you well. But for us, Zach is a little bit risky, we would say the least. A little bit risky. But yeah, I'd wait for him to drop down to 550, 540 and see if he can get a starting spot. Even if it's in the centres, I'd still probably look to buy him. Casey McLean scored a try, still got a 30 out there with a 5 break even. I'm a little bit less high on Casey McLean. You saw his base stats were down with his tackles. Wasn't really a tackling game though. 8 negatives in there, but I mean, he's still got a try and only got 30. I do think that Nathan Cleary being back will help him though, considering he's playing on Luai's edge, isn't he? Yeah, because it's yeah. So yeah, Casey's playing on Luai's edge, which I do think helps him somewhat, but I'd probably would lean to Isaac Tungo more as a buy, just because we know Tungo definitely has that spot when Casey could get dropped. There was talks about Laurie going to the wing, Taruba to the centres, and then Edwards to fullback when Edwards returns. But yeah, for us, 430k is we all know what he can do. It's like in fantasy, we've seen a 86, a 66 in there, a couple of 55, and a couple of very relevant scores in the last couple of years. 91s in there, 97s, 77s. But yeah, for us, we do think that Tungo, I wouldn't say he's a buy, but I would buy Tungo over Casey McLean just because of his like proven gun status before. And kind of looking back to a little bit of form with a 42, a 36, and a 29. You saw no attacking stats for him at all. So it's something to keep in mind out there, though. Going on Tom Starling, 1 break even. Tom was someone we were very big on. I do think that Tom is now a buy, just with his now playing at hooker. And what we know what he can do at hooker, 54.1 average, he's still got a lot of money to make on top of that. And this year, he's gone 53, 51, 62, 55. So yeah, I'd definitely be looking to buy. Tom Starling is probably your best hooker for the rest of the year. Or not your best hooker, but probably your replacement hooker, like if you've got a Grant or a Cook. I think we had a question, do I sell Cook or Mahoney? If you already have a Starling, then I'd almost be entitled just to run the Cook Starling route and then sell Mahoney to Cleary. Because I don't think you need 3. Like I know I'm fielding Little, Grant, Starling, pretty much because both 2 of them are keepers, but I just think Starling, I brought him at a cheaper price. And I don't really think it worries me now because I won't be trading Starling out further down the season. So, yeah, I'd definitely be holding Starling. Just seems to be tackling his ass out, running good meters. And, I mean, the attacking stats will come. And again, we talk about their draw, but this is the type of good draw for Starling, considering that I think they'll have to fight. So he'll have to make a lot of tackles. And then I think you'll see maybe him play a couple more 80-minute games because Danny Levi will get not as much minutes just because they'll need Starling out there who's so important. But owned by 50% of the top 5,000, I do think it is a little. You're very late for Starling, but I do think that he'll still make you money. But do you actually care about money making this time of the year? Payne Haas, 818k, 59 break even. He's priced at 58. For me, Payne is probably the third best buy this week. I'd probably have Cleary. Then I'd have Yo just because he doesn't miss a game, and then I'd have Haas. The round 24 buy puts me a little bit off Haas, but I mean, with what we've seen is big scores with 76 and 77s, 82s, 70s, and a couple of very, very consistent scores here, with along with the 83s, 93s, 86s, 85s, 83s. We see Haas has been an absolute gun. A little bit of a discount here, I think, for Haas, and I think he will average about 55 to 60, considering the Broncos need to win every single game to make the 8. So, keeping that in mind, I think that Haas will play 65 minutes, where I don't think you can choose between Isaiah Yo and Payne Haas, like, mathematically. I think you have to choose. You just have to, like, take a gamble on one of them and hope for the best. I would be trying to go for both, though. That's what I think, along with Keon Kalonga-Matangi in the middles. Jacob Krause, 660k, 34 break even. For me, Jacob, he's back to the wing spot, I believe, this week. But I mean, we still see that he can score some big points in the center position. He put 72 together, and for me, Jacob, yeah, he played very well. But I think that he has more of a future going forward in the wing fullbacks. And tough to say, but I do think Jacob will be a season-long keeper in both the centers and the wing fullbacks, so you can put him in. And yeah, I definitely wouldn't be looking to sell him, just looking to hold him. Probably be looking to buy him at 660k, considering Ponga's around the same price. I would kind of look to avoid making a trade this week and bringing Ponga next week after finishing playing the Panthers. But I do think Jacob Krause will be top 4 wing fullbacks. Connor Watson, 72 break even, kind of a fallback to grace recently with a 42 and a 31 when playing at lock. That 31 came in big minutes, but with a sin bin, and he saw his minutes a little bit down against the Seagulls here. With a buy in round 23, I do think that he is definitely a hold now, but I'd be a bit cautious. If he goes low one more time, gets down to about 650 odd K, I maybe look to move him onto a Yo when he has his buy, or a Ponga, or someone like a Carraz, that Fogarty, depending on how much money you have left. Or I could say you could move Connor Watson to a Nathan Cleary if you have that money left over, and that just be your pivoting chance to Nathan Cleary. But yeah, I definitely do think that he's a season-long keeper. But again, if you already have in the middles, if you already have like a Keon and a Haas, and you're looking to bring in a Yo, or in the hooking position, you already have a Grant and a Starling, and you're looking to bring in a Cleary, like, I just pulled the trigger this week. I do think forward he'll probably average 55 to 60, depending on the minutes. But I think Cleary will average anywhere from 65 to about 80. Jake Tungo still selected to play with a 16 break even and 230k. Hasn't really gone big yet. Good cash out, in my opinion. Someone that plays, like, got a dual position. Yeah, so all I'd consider buying him for is a cash out, not for a season. Well, not, he was never going to be a season-long keeper, but not for someone that you expect to play in your team week in, week out. I know for me, I'm looking to trade Michael Cheekham to Jake Tungo just to give me that wing fullback cover, one, to start with, and for two, to see if I can bank a bit of cash to go Samuel Afeinu to a Jamal Fogarty or Kalen Ponga down the stretch. But the thing that stands out for me is they scored that 21 with a try, but there was also, he had 8 negatives, 7, he had 15 negatives in there. So he gets to 36, and let's say he gets a 30, you're pretty happy with that. And a 16 break even, he still could get there, but I mean, I'd be a bit cautious considering he's got Penrith, Sydney Broncos, which is also the reason that I am leaning towards. Sorry. Which is also the reason I'm leaning towards selling Blaze Talangi with a 41 break even and 463k. He has centre wing fullback duel, but for me, he's been scoring really well in this in the winger, and he's not playing at center anymore, or like he's not playing wing now. He hasn't been scoring at tries at center as much. So I'd almost look to hold. I also look to sell Blaze Talangi, just considering the fact that he is now playing center, and with that tough draw going New Zealand, who I think he'll score around 30. Then Penrith, Sydney, Broncos, I don't think will do very well, nor will he average very high, considering he won't be able to get those attacking stats and then to finish off the season. So, I mean, it could be someone with that dual position that you look to loop maybe, or like not loop, but bring there as your cover in your center wing fullback dual. But yeah, I mean, I know for me, if I had the luxury to, I'd be definitely selling them. 635k. I actually have Harry Grant as a pickup this week. You see, when playing at a hooker over 60 minutes, he has a career average of 58.7 and priced at 45 for an average with a break even of 46. We all know what he can do. Just the big thing for me is why he's not averaging as much is like these games. He usually scores around this, but it just be that 61 turns into an 85 and that 66 turns into a 75. Like you see here, an 87 against the Rabbitohs, 77, 91, 73, 77, 91. Like he's just not had many of these big games at all. 80 out there, 93, and 80. First one of the scene in that one. But yeah, for me, Harry hasn't had any of those big 85, 90 games. Even when he scores a double, like you see against the Eel, he scored a double, and his missed tackle numbers are up. But I do think that Harry is someone that you can put as your set and forget hooker. That should average at least 50. Like he hasn't been playing very well, and he still averages 50.5 fantasy terms. Like I think that they'll want to get firing into the finals, and he does play around 27 too, which I do think helps out his causes of the bye. Also, with an easy draw, and he scored 91 against the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and then the Rabbitohs up Penrith, where he's going to make a lot of tackles. Dolphins, Cowboys, and Dolphins and Broncos, he could cross for a couple of few cheap tries out there. So yeah, I do think I'm very interested in Harry Grant. I would definitely not be selling him at 635k now. It's someone you've held for the whole season, and the fact that this man, Jacob Little, that I've had since round 21, round 12 is more expensive than him is definitely a sign. But if you're a Jacob Little owner, I'd definitely be holding with that 48 break even. But you saw this 58. He lost his try saver. That was clear try saver. And yes, he has been missing a few more tackles, but he's been getting through the work. You see the 59 tackles, couple tackle busts out there. He loves a try recently. So yeah, I do think that for me personally, I will be looking to play off the free hookers for the rest of the year. But if I was looking to buy any hooker this week, it would be Harry Grant. Ruben Cotter, 710k. Not playing this week with a break even of 73. He's been playing at prop, lock the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So he's been playing at lock. Been playing at lock over 50 minutes. He has a career average of 51.5, and prices are about that. I don't think there's much value in there. But for me, the reason that Ruben is a sell in our eyes is you could use his price to honestly get to a yo if you have 60k spare, or a Fog Dog, or a Cleary. I do think that Cotter is a perfect time to sell him with that buy up around the corner too. And I mean, on the argument to hold him, they will need a lot of big minutes for them to make the 8, considering he's one of their main forwards. But for me, I just think that I'd prefer to have a Yo, a Keon, a David Fafita, a Payne Haas, a Harry Grant, a Ponga, a Fogarty, a Cleary in my team over a Ruben Cotter, Eli Katoa even. And yeah, I mean, you see here, he's gone for a couple of big scores this year with an 83 in there, a 76, a 64. But the big thing that stands out for me is that like the 40s a lot more than the big guys in Keon, Haas, and Yo. That's the reason that if you have that money left over, I definitely go Cotter to Yo or Haas. Ruben Garrick, someone I have as a hold. He was out this week anyway. With 57 break even, I do think Garrick is definitely definitely a season-long keeper, that dual position, with an average of 53.3 for the year. And you just seen what he can do. 53s in there, 77, very consistent, with pretty much his lowest score being a 23 in natural centers and a 26 when moving to the wing. But the rest have pretty much been 40s out there. I do think that Garrick his ceiling's so high, very low floor considering he kicks goals, and he's got a pretty good draw coming up for a team that is on the fringe of playing 8, where I think that they could put a couple of big scores and cement themselves in their 8. But yeah, 593k, definitely very cheap for a center wing fullback gun. You'd definitely be holding Ruben Garrick, please. Someone I got as a interesting buy in the centers is someone already in my team. 577k, he's dropped below 600, and you've seen here he's been a 740, 60k center for a lot of this season, and now he's come back with a 54, and you've seen what Holmes can do. I mean, he's playing the Tigers, then the Broncos, then the Raiders. I do think that he could put a couple of good scores on them. I mean, you see 80s in there, 88, 67, 60s, 54s, and you go down. Like, very, very good last year, very consistent at the back end. For me, the big thing is he kicks goals, and he's very good at kicking goals. Like, you see that game against the Dragons when they won 46-24, he kicked 7 goals. And that game against the Cows, where the Broncos went crazy last year. I don't think he played. Well, he didn't play, but like you see here against the Tigers, he scored a 71 with a hat trick, but he kicked 11 goals. And I do think that the Tigers aren't playing very well, and the Cowboys are looking just to get better. So I think that Val Holmes is a buy just because he kicks goals again, and good running game. And I think he pretty much talks for himself out here with a discount for a keeper center. K a week, someone I got as a sell now, 561k, kind of a 38. At fullback is all right, but for me, it's just the base is down. Like you look here, those big weeks up there, he was kicking a lot and had very good base. But now, since moving to that fullback spot, he's needed 3 long range tries to save him there. And now for toughest draw, I do think that he is definitely a sell, even though he's got that dual position out there. Lachlan Galvin at 50 break even. For me, Galvin 50-50, like, I don't have a draw that kills it at all. Like, and I don't have a draw that's too bad. 51.3 career average. Galvin's just way of not dropping below 40 and being able to go above 60 is just so good for me. It's 683k again. The only reason I'd sell him is to get the 4 players. Harry Grant, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, or Payne Haas. Those are the 4 I'm looking to sell Galvin. Otherwise, I wouldn't even move him onto Jamal Fogarty. Just because Galvin, again, I think he can go bigger than Jamal. Like, I think Jamal goes 55 average. I think Galvin can average 55, but with a couple more games of 40s and then 70s, who's someone that's more of a head-to-head game winner. But for me, Galvin's probably missing 1 buy. So, I'd if you wanted to, I would sell him to Fogarty, but I'd think about a Cleary, Grant, House, and Yo before selling him to a Fogarty. But otherwise, I would hold him. Going on, you see Samuel Fainu, 49 break even. He went low, 27, moved to the centers again for about 40 minutes, I think. Yeah, it would have been about that. Big thing for me, 7 missed tackles again. When playing in the centers, he doesn't tackle well. But another one for me is just his stats without John Bateman. You see, with the average is 36.5. Without the average is 34.2, but when playing at second row, it goes up to a 43.7, and that is with that 27 in there, even though he played in the centers. You see, I think it's just a bit more they favour going the ball to his side. He makes a bit more tackles, gets involved a bit more. Definitely want to have as a hold, considering his draw, like, it's not too hard, so he should make a couple of good tackles. And he looks like an improving player who, hopefully, if luck goes his way, could get a couple of 4-pointers and cross over for higher run meters there. But, I mean, if he keeps those negatives down to 14, probably gets a 41, and you're not too annoyed for 41 out there. But, I think what killed him was just moving to centers. I think we should all give Wishart a clap. He was very, very good for his owners of his. But, 667k, break even of 44 now. Coming off the bench is a big thing for me. And it's definitely a sell now. I think he might stint Harry Grant or be there just as maybe they'll do what they did with Munster, where they take him off, or he only plays 30 minutes or 50 minutes and Wishart plays 30. But I think now he's done his job. The only reason I could think of holding him is that if it's a late change and that you need Wishart to play in the wing fullbacks. But other than that, I think that it's definitely a sell now considering he's coming to the bench. But another guy who is very, very interesting you could sell to is a Cameron Munster at 625k. It's very interesting, like 84 break even. We all know what Munster can do. This year it seems his groin is very, very much affecting him. Just doesn't look the same electric player, but we know how easily Munster can get hundreds in there, 66s, 78s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But for me, I mean, I've owned Munster since the game against the Broncos, and it's a very much up and down roller coaster out there. One that, I mean, he misses a fair few tackles out there. You see games with 30 tackles, but 7 misses out there. I'd probably avoid Munster personally if you're looking at him, but I mean, very interesting option. And if you have the guts, I don't think he'll do too bad for you. Appy Coruscant now. If you're an owner of Appy, I'd almost look to sell him. He had a very good game at halfback on the weekend. You go season 2024. And then you go minutes over 60. I do think it is important for the Tigers to avoid the wooden spoon. If that it means anything to you. But I don't think Appy will be a season-long keeper. And considering that you can almost trade him straight to Harry Grant, who plays one more round, so will score overall. If he doesn't get rested, that is Harry. So he won't score. He'll score more overall. I would definitely look at that. Just for me, the thing is Appy's up and down nature and the missed tackling of Appy. And he doesn't play on a great team. Like Harry plays on a great team where he can tackle, get the attacking stats, set up tries. But for me, it seems all of Appy's comes from goals where they don't score a lot, and it comes from a lot of try assist or line breaks. Otherwise, it's tackle bust and Appy creating his own. So I do think Appy isn't a must sell. It's probably a luxury sell if you can this weekend if you have the trades to. If you don't have the trades to, definitely hold. I think he'll do a great job at hooker, but I'd only look to sell him to Harry Grant in the hooking position. Pretty big on Harry Grant, who's discounted, but I think Appy will definitely do your job. Terrell May, 64 break even, 715k. I do think Terrell May's time is done now. Back to interchange bench where he scored 39 and 32 minutes. The one thing for me is we know what Terrell May can do off the interchange bench. With a couple of massive, massive scores in there for Terrell. He has gone, when playing over 40 minutes off the interchange bench, he averages 58.8. If he gets over 40 minutes, he could very easily score well. But I think for me, you're banking too much on Terrell May to get over 50 minutes when, again, you can go up to a Cleary, up to a Fogarty, up to a Yo, up to a Haas, up to a Keon, up to a David Fafita. Like, there's a lot of keepers there you can go to. And I just don't think Terrell May will be one of those in the middle when you got the likes of those 5 or 3 middle players you're looking at and then the rest. So, yeah, for me, Terrell, probably one you move on to Yo or Haas or Keon. I'd probably go Keon just considering he's got that dual position and playing very well now. Oh, he's spoken about Blaze Talangi, sorry. Ellie Katoa, 54 break even, 629k. Very interested in Ellie. I think that we spoke as him as a buy last week. Got a 47 with 5 missed tackles again, 2 errors out there, a penalty, not really his game. A lot of negatives for him, but for me, the big thing is just the try assist and that draw for Ellie. I think the Storm will be looking to get into their best gear where Ellie should go well. Discounted 629k could be a straight swap from a Terrell May or who was the other one? Sorry, I can't remember. But yeah, Ellie. I mean, just the way that he can put in great scores and good anti-pod to David Feeder or partnership with David Feeder, along with this guy, Angus Crichton. So yeah, I got Ellie as a buy and 59 break even for Angus at 732. Do you think the Gus bus has sailed now? You've gone see in the last 5, he's gone, or even since round 11, he's gone 49, 54, 49, 36, 73, 64, 40, and he still scored tries in there playing 80 minutes. You see the offload count is down, like he needed 6 offloads to get to that 64 mark, along with very good offloader of the football. But I personally feel like now the Gus bus has sailed. There's more players. I wouldn't be selling him if you don't own him. Like, I'd definitely be holding him if you own him. But if you don't own him, I wouldn't be looking to buy him. I'd be looking to buy a Yo over him or I'd be looking to reassess after his bye and just see if he can get back to some of his good fantasy scoring and some consistent fantasy scoring. So if he scores a 60 this week, yeah, I'd reassess and look to buy him. But other than that, I think that he's definitely one you don't look to buy this week. And last one, Scott Drinkwater. I actually have him as a buy again. 48 break even, 594k is much of a discount for Scott. The thing that pulls out my eye is at 101 in round 18. Again, I think they'll need Scott to pull out everything that he's going to have to do. You see their big scores he can go. Doesn't really go below 40 in these games. And yeah, I think playing the Tigers and then having to play Broncos, Canberras, who are not performing their best. I do think that Scott should do your job in the wing fullback, and maybe if you have enough money to go up to Scott, I think he's the best fullback to bring in under 600k this week. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Best of luck for your teams.